Welcome to IADS Retail Park, where retail giants evolve or go extinct. I'm Maya, your guide on this ride through retail innovation, strategy, and transformation. And joining me today, it's always wonderful to have her back, is Anchita Ranka, Head of Analysis and Perspectives at the International Association of Department Stores. Anchita, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Maya. It's great to be here again. This one's been fun to research.
I can imagine. 7 years from decision to opening day. That's not your typical retail timeline, so let's dive right in. And Chita, you've just published an exclusive on Gallery Lafayette's Mumbai flagship. When you say India's first true luxury department store, what makes it different from what was already there?
Well, that's the thing, Maya. There wasn't really a true multi brand luxury department store format in India before this. You had multi brand boutiques like The Collective, which Aditya Birla Group operates, but nothing at the scale or architectural ambition of what Gallery Lafayette just opened. India has conglomerate controlled luxury malls, Reliance's Geo World Plaza being the most advanced, but a standalone purpose built luxury department store spanning heritage architecture that didn't exist.
And the timing is interesting because this opened in November 2025, but the partnership was announced back in 2022, and you're saying the actual commitment goes back 7 years. Walk us through what that timeline actually represents.
Of course. So the public facing milestone was November 2022 when Galerie Lafayette Group and Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail Limited announced this 20-year exclusive franchise agreement. But the work that led to that moment, identifying the location, navigating heritage building restoration approvals, understanding the competitive landscape, that goes back much further. The store sits in two century old buildings, the Turner Morrison building, which is this colonial era neoclassical structure, and Volta's house, a mid century modernist building. Getting permission to physically interconnect two protected heritage structures in one of Mumbai's most significant cultural districts, that's not a 6-month project.
So, this wasn't just about finding retail space, it was really all about solving an infrastructure problem that most Western luxury brands probably didn't even know existed.
Yep, that's exactly it. India has three genuine luxury malls, just three: DLF Emporio and DLF the Chanakya in Delhi, and Geo World Plaza in Mumbai. All three are at capacity. And according to DLF's head of luxury retail, there are 15 top tier international brands ready to enter India immediately, but there's literally no available space to put them. The next DLF expansion won't be ready until the end of 2028.
Three malls for a market projected to hit $85 billion by 2030. That's
A bottleneck. And it's not just about physical space, it's about who controls that space. The Ambani family's Reliance Brands Limited manages over 90 brands and owns Geo World Plaza. The Birla family's Aditya Birla Group has equity stakes in India's top designers and operates The Collective. So when Galeries Lafayette partnered with Aditya Birla for this franchise, they weren't just choosing a business partner, they were choosing which conglomerate infrastructure to align with.
And that franchise structure itself is significant, right? Because Galeries Lafayette didn't replicate the direct ownership model they use in Paris.
Well, Maya. They couldn't. Direct foreign ownership in multi brand retail in India comes with regulatory complexity that makes the franchise model not just preferable, but necessary. The 20-year exclusive agreement gives Aditya Birla the rights to operate Galerie Lafayette stores across India, but it also means Galeries Lafayette benefits from Aditya Birla's deep local knowledge, relationships with Indian designers, understanding of the wedding market, navigation of conglomerate politics. You can't parachute a Parisian retail model into Mumbai and expect it to work.
And Cheetah, you mentioned the wedding market. That's a significant part of the luxury equation in India, isn't it?
It's huge. India's wedding market is valued at around $50 billion, and it drives over half of all gold jewelry sales in the country. For luxury fashion, weddings are peak spending moments, and this is where Indian designers have built tremendous brand loyalty. Sabyasachi, Tarun Tahiliani, Manish Malhotra. These are the names that dominate that space. And here's the data point that really shifts how you think about this market. By fiscal year 2025, Sabyasachi reached about 500 crore rupees in revenue. Kochi, India, 265 crore, and down 17% year over year. Manish Malhotra out-earned Christian Dior in India.
So Indian designers aren't closing a gap with European luxury houses. They're already ahead in revenue terms.
In the domestic market, yes. And that completely reframes what Galeries Lafayette's brand mix means. When they opened with over 250 brands, about 70% exclusive to India, and you've got Coperni, Patu, and Balextra on the same floors as Bodice, Dhruv Kapoor, and Sabyasachi, that's not a token nod to local designers, it's market literacy. The store isn't presenting European luxury as the aspirational ceiling. It's creating a platform where both compete for the same customer.
And the customer base is concentrated in a way that's hard to overstate. You've got Mumbai with 450 billionaires and 142,000 millionaires.
Right, but the broader market is still nascent. Income inequality in India is stark and increasing, which means you've got this incredibly wealthy top tier and a mass market that's being squeezed. Luxury retail is serving that top tier, but it's also why the infrastructure exists the way it does. 3 malls for a very specific customer segment. Galeries Lafayette's standalone heritage building strategy bypasses the wait for mall expansion, but it also means they're betting that this customer segment will come to Kalagoda rather than waiting for the next Geo World Plaza to open in another city.
Now, Anchita, I want to move on a bit and talk about what they actually built. You visited the space, or at least you've analyzed the store design extensively. What stands out architecturally?
Well, the interconnection of the two buildings is the most striking design decision. You've got the Turner Morrison building with its arched neoclassical facade, and Volta's house with this clean modernist geometry, and Virgil plus Partners, the architecture firm, created this new insertion that physically bridges them. Inside, there's a life-size cupola inspired by an 18th century French observation balloon that floods the central atrium with natural light. The elliptical staircase has hand-embroidered wallpaper created by Indian artisans. At the ground floor entrance, there's lotus motif stone inlay inspired by Taj Mahal craftsmanship. It's not Parisian design dropped into Mumbai. It's a deliberate blend.
And that cultural integration goes above and beyond architecture. Galeries Lafayette has been positioning this as part of broader Franco-Indian diplomatic cooperation.
Yes, and that's actually been very explicit. So starting in November 2025, the store hosted rotating art installations and pop-up shows. In February this year, they hosted a flagship event for the India-France Year of Innovation 2026. 2 French government ministers attended. The store also participated in the India Design ID 2026 fair in New Delhi, which was the second edition of Art de Vivre à la Française, a government-backed initiative. So this isn't just a retail opening. It's being framed as cultural diplomacy, which gives it a kind of institutional weight that a standard brand launch wouldn't have.
I've got to say that's pretty interesting because it positions the store as more than a commercial space. It becomes a real cultural bridge.
It truly is, Maya. And that might be necessary when you're asking customers to pay luxury prices in a market where import duties and a 28% goods and services tax mean that luxury goods can cost up to 40% more than in Dubai. For years, wealthy Indian shoppers have resolved that by traveling. Indians were already among the top international clients at Galeries Lafayette's Paris Haussmann flagship before Mumbai was even on the roadmap. The question the store has to answer is, can we price competitively enough? Galeries Lafayette has said they're aligning with Dubai levels where possible and offered enough exclusive product and experience to make shopping domestically more attractive than getting on a plane.
All right, so the customer was already there. The entry didn't create demand, it followed it home.
That's right. And that's a very different risk profile than entering a market cold.
Let's try to zoom out a bit to Galeries Lafayette's broader international strategy. They closed the Berlin store in July 2024. 4 months later, they open in Mumbai. Are those connected decisions, Anchita?
Oh, yeah, they're absolutely the same decision. Gallery Lafayette's international revenue was around 10% before the pandemic. Their target is 25% by 2030. That growth isn't coming from Western Europe, it's coming from Dubai, Doha, Macau, and now India. The Berlin closure and the Mumbai opening are two sides of the same strategic reallocation, moving capital and focus from saturated competitive Western markets to high growth regions where infrastructure scarcity is a differentiator, not a deterrent.
I see. Differentiator, not a deterrent. I like that framing. Because when you think about it, the heritage building strategy, the franchise model, the 7 year timeline, those could all be seen as obstacles, but they're actually the conditions that made entry possible.
Yeah, and the next phase is already visible, Maya. There's a second flagship planned for New Delhi within the DLF Emporio complex, targeted for 2027, though that's subject to developer timelines. And Galeries Lafayette has said they'll launch a dedicated e commerce platform aimed at tier minus 2 and tier minus 3 cities, where luxury consumption is growing but physical retail penetration is low. Over 50% of India's luxury e commerce sales now come from non metro cities.
So the Mumbai flagship is the anchor, but the digital layer is how they scale nationally without waiting for more heritage buildings to restore.
Totally. Exactly. And that combination, physical flagship in a culturally significant location, backed by a franchise partner with local infrastructure, plus digital reach into markets where building physical stores isn't viable yet. That's the model. It's patient, it's partnership led, and it doesn't depend on conditions India hasn't built yet.
Which brings us back to the title of your exclusive, A Landmark Entry. Not just because it's the first of its kind, but because of what had to happen to make it possible.
And that distinction matters. The landmark isn't just the store, it's the proof that Western luxury can enter India successfully if it's willing to rewrite the entry playbook. Franchise over ownership, heritage restoration over mall dependency, local knowledge at the center, and timelines measured in years, not quarters.
For listeners who want the full picture, the brand breakdown, the competitive dynamics, the store photography, where can they find your complete exclusive?
It's live now on IADS, exclusive insights on Substack. The link will be in the episode description. And for anyone tracking how Western retail is repositioning for high growth markets, this is a case study worth studying closely.
Anchita, thank you. This has been a mini masterclass in patient market entry.
Thanks for having me back, Maya. Always a pleasure.
Those have been some powerful insights. Thank you again, Anchita, for walking us through what 7 years of strategic commitment actually builds. For those listening in on IADS Retail Park, we hope you found this episode informative and inspiring. To make sure you're always in the know, hit that subscribe button for the latest insights into the retail world. For more updates and success stories, check us out on LinkedIn. Until our next conversation, keep adapting, stay strategic, and remember, in retail, evolution isn't optional. Please be advised that this podcast features AI clone voices created with human oversight. All content is reviewed by experts for accuracy and relevance.